Hello and welcome everyone to this video tutorial on how to install Libris's Primo development environment. The approach that we're going to take with this is going to work regardless of whether you're on Windows or Mac. And the reason for that is we're going to set this up as a virtual machine using the freely available VirtualBox software. There are a couple advantages to setting this up as a virtual machine. One is if you mess things up in that virtual machine, you download something that maybe you shouldn't have, or you set things up in a way that makes the system completely crash, it's not going to affect your computer, your operating system. So if you're on Windows, your virtual machine, if something goes wrong there, it's not going to mess anything up in your Windows operating system or your Mac operating system. And you can do this with Linux as well. We'll actually be using the Linux operating system to set up our virtual machine. So that will be run on Linux. And it just makes things easier. So before we begin, I just want to quickly point out that normally I focus specifically on open source. In this case, we're looking at something a little more proprietary. My job is systems librarian at the Eastern Oregon University. We're a member of the Orbis Cascade Alliance Consortium, which is a library consortium of academic libraries in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. I currently serve on one of the groups for that consortium called the Primo Customization Standing Group. We do some developments for Primo that have been suggested by other Orbis Cascade Alliance Consortium members. And of course, one of the best tools that we have for that is provided by Libris with their Primo development environment. So we're going to look at how to install that on a virtual machine today. For those that are here looking for DSpace content, we'll get back to that hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, this was something I felt I could do to kind of give back to the Orbis Cascade Alliance, which I've learned a ton from the members there. A lot of we can thank some of the many of the people within the Orbis Cascade Alliance members and the systems team and the discovery group. I've learned a ton of stuff from them, which has then translated to some of these videos. So today we're going to do something a little more proprietary. So the very first thing that you're going to need to do is download and install VirtualBox, and then you're going to have to set up your Linux environment on that virtual machine. And of course, I have a video that illustrates how to do that in great detail, and I'm going to link to that in the upper right-hand corner of your screen there. You're going to want to create that before you move further with this, but it will create an environment that will be exactly the same as what I'm using today. So once you've gone through that video and you've created your own Linux environment, your own Linux virtual machine, you're going to want to open up VirtualBox. I run it as an administrator only because there are a couple of times where I ran into some issues that required me to do that, and so now I just always do that. I think for the most part, you're probably safe not running it as an administrator. But I figured I'd just point that out in case you run into problems. So once you've gone through the video that shows you how to set things up and you open up VirtualBox, it's going to look similar to this. I do a lot of tests and kind of different kinds of development work, so I have a lot more going on here than what you're going to see. You're probably only going to see the one that you created from the last video. Which I think I called DSpace. I actually think that's this one. So what I ended up doing was I cloned that, and you can do that by right-clicking and then click on clone. And then instead of calling it DSpace, I called it primo-dev. So I'm not going to go through too many details that were covered in the other video. But I do want to quickly point out that if you highlight this, go up here to settings, there are a couple of things we just want to make sure are set up for sure. So under general, you'll see a tab here for advanced. If you go ahead and click that, I think it's a good idea to, it's probably set to is probably set to disabled out of the box. So I think the shared clipboard and the drag and drop, those you want to set those to bidirectional. And what that allows you to do is copy and paste things from your Windows or Mac side of things into your virtual machine. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to cut and paste between the two, which isn't really a huge deal for this because I think I'm going to do this completely within the virtual machine once we fire that up. So you want to make sure that's set to bidirectional just in case. The other thing is you want to go to network, this icon here, and you kind of want to be sure that this is either set to bridged adapter. I like bridged adapter because it allows me to SSH into things. However, I think NAT would work here too. Actually, and that might even work better, but I just keep it at bridged. That's I have things configured for that, so that's how I'm going to keep it. But you do want to make sure you either have bridged or NAT so that you can access the internet. That's really the big deal for that. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to go ahead and start up the environment. And you can do that. You want to make sure it's highlighted. You could right click. Yeah, you could right click and hit start. You could hit start up here. There's a couple of different places you can get things going. So I'm going to fire that up. I have guest editions installed, so and again, that's gonna you can see how to do that in that other video that I have linked to. So I'm going to click on switch here, and that's going to give me a full screen of my Linux environment. I'm just going to hit enter to make that run a little quicker. Okay, so I've made it to my login screen. I'm just going to delete that. Put in my password. Okay, here we are on our KDE desktop. The very first thing that I would do is go down here and I would first look for the terminal. We're going to need that, so if we do terminal, and you'll see this console here. What I'd like to do is right click on that, and I want to add this to my panel, so it's down here, so I can just click on that quickly. The other thing is we're going to need a web browser. Out of the box, Firefox comes with this operating system. So I just opened a browser, but really what I want to do is add this to the panel as well. So now I have those two things. Okay, I'm just going to close my browser real quick. And so the next thing I want to do is set up my console. I'm just going to, or terminal, I'm just going to click on that. And the first thing I want to do is change the settings on this so that we can actually see what's going on here. So I'm going to go to appearance, and perhaps I'm going to go with black on white because that's going to be easier to see. I'm going to make the font bigger. Let's make it 15. Let's make it 16. Okay. Let's apply that. I'll make sure that should be good. Whoops, I don't want that. I want black on white. I think it'll be easier to see. So I'm going to hit OK. Open that up a little. Close it a little. All right, so I'll make that a little bit bigger. We should be good to get started. So what we'll do is we'll just put the console over here, and I'm just going to make it like half the screen. Let's see, we'll click on our web browser. So I'm going to click on Firefox. Okay, so once that's opened up, I'm going to make this the other half of the screen. I'll just move that down like that. And I guess, the very first thing that we should do is get the instructions for installing this. So I'm just going to do a Google search actually. And let's see, X Libris Primo dev environment. And so here we have this link for the Primo new UI customization. We're currently on Primo V, but same deal. They work the same pretty much. So we'll just click on that link. It's going to bring us to their GitHub page. And so here are all of the files. This is the structure of the development environment. We can maybe open that up a little for now. And so here we have, they give us the structure where the gulp directory is, and gulp just kind of helps us manage the build scripts and things like that. So the development package is going to allow us to make some pretty robust edits to the CSS, HTML, images, and JavaScript within Primo or Primo-v. And so here they can tell us we can just go ahead and download things from this GitHub repository. And then we have our installation instructions here, so we're just going to go through those. And the very first thing that we have here is download the project from this repository and place it on your computer. It's a pretty easy step. I'm just going to turn that back to half screen and show you how I go about doing this. And so we'll scroll on up to the top here. If you click on this little code thing here, little green drop down, there are a number of ways of getting this. I think what I'm going to do is with this download zip, I'm actually going to right click on that. I'm going to copy the link, and then I'm going to hop over here to my console. So when you open up a terminal, what ends up happening is you are placed into your user's home folder. And you can actually view what directory you're in currently by running the pwd command, print working directory. And this is important because you want to make sure you're in the right place. I think it's a good idea to do this in your home folder because it's going to allow you to do a lot of things without having to be an administrator. However, you're going to need an administrator account to do a lot of things here. But when you're working with Node.js, it's kind of nice not to have to use sudo privileges. So you want to be in a similar place. You want to be in the home folder, and you want to be in your users folder. You can also list the contents by the ls command, and that will show you that we have a bunch of directories here. And this is where I want to place my development environment in the home folder for my Jeremiah user. And we can do that with wget. It's quick and easy. You could do it with get, you can do it with curl. I'm just going to do it with wget because it's quick and easy. And you want to make sure it's installed on your system. So just in case, you might want to run sudo apt install wget. And I already have it installed. And actually, it occurs to me one of the things I probably should have done before all of this is run some updates. So I'm just going to do that now. And you can do that with sudo apt update and then double ampersand and sudo apt upgrade. So this is going to update software, and then it will upgrade it to the most latest version. And I'm going to do a -y because that way it just does everything automatically for me, and I don't have to say yes to my download. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. And this is probably going to take a while, so I'll probably pause. Okay, that was a pretty big update. Apparently I hadn't done an upgrade in a while. And so now I forget where we were. Let's see. I think what we need to do is copy this link. So the download zip here, I'm just going to come here. I'm going to copy link. And then I'm in my home folder. This is where I want to drop things. I already checked to see if I have wget, and I did. So I'm going to run the wget command, and then I'm just going to paste that URL here. I'll go ahead and hit enter, and it downloads pretty quick. And now if we do the ls command to list the contents of this directory, you'll see that we have this master zip. I'm just going to clear this. And what we want to do now is make sure that we have zip installed. So we can do that with sudo apt install zip. And I already have it installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to run, let's see, what was that called again? Master. So what we're going to do now is run unzip master.zip. And you may have noticed that I kind of got that master.zip to show up pretty quickly. So if you're not aware of this little trick, you can begin in a Linux terminal, you can begin typing the file or the directory name. So in this case, master.zip. If I do MA and then tab, it completes it for me, which is great. It comes in handy, particularly later, as you'll see. So I'm just going to run unzip master.zip, hit enter, and now it looks like everything was uncompressed. Okay, so if we run ls to list the contents of this current directory, you'll see we now have the primo-explore-devenv master, which is what we want. I like to keep things clean, so I'm going to remove the master.zip, and you can do that with this command, rm master.zip. And then if we ls to list the contents, you'll see it's no longer there. Okay, so we have downloaded the file structure. We're on installation. Unzip the file you downloaded to a preferred development project folder location. So I did mine in the home folder. All right, next thing, download and install Node version 10.15.3. So this is a pretty important thing. I'm going to go ahead and clear my console right now. And I apologize. I keep saying console and terminal interchangeably, and they're slightly different. But really, what I mean is just this terminal command line prompt when I say either. But what we need to do is get this Node version 10.15.3, and this is kind of the part that always kind of messed me up in the past. And then somebody pointed out to me the Node Version Manager, which is a software we can get on GitHub. And actually what I'm going to do is just open up a new tab here and just type in Node Version Manager. And you'll see this GitHub page here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to scroll down, let's see, install. Click on the install and update script. So you'll see here we have a couple of options. You could run this manually yourself, but I've not had problems with the wget installer. Basically what it does is it grabs a bash script and then runs it for you and makes things simple. Because we already know that we have wget on our system, we can just go ahead and actually there's a little copy button there. Gonna hit that copy button. And then from any directory, I believe, I'm in my home directory, so I'm just going to stay there. And you know, if you were playing around and got elsewhere and you just want to get back to your home directory, you can just type cd. That will bring you where you need to be. And I'm going to paste that wget command and hit enter. And you should see a screen that looks very similar to this after you run it. So everything appears to have been installed successfully for me. Yeah, the thing about bash terminals, this is a bash terminal, is sometimes when you install something, you may have to restart a console session or a terminal session. And I think that's the case here. So really what I want to do is just close my terminal out and then open another one. That starts a new terminal session, and then at this point, you know, when I run nvm, it should, let's see, nvm-v maybe? Yeah, I get the version. Had I ran this before I closed the window, it might have said nvm command not found. So if you're encountering that, just be sure to close out your console and then open a new one. I think I keep calling it console because that's what the KDE version of it is called. Okay, so now we have the Node version manager installed. So now what we can do is actually get this exact version that we need. If you install a different version or if you install the newest version, it might not work or very likely won't work. One of the major reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Node and JavaScript development is, boy, this stuff can be a headache. But in any case, if we go back, let's go back to the NVM page, and I think they have a list of commands towards the end. Usage. So under the usage section, it shows what we can, how we can go about installing things. But really what I want to do is just point out this command first, this nvm ls remote. And what that does is it shows you every version of Node that is available through the Node version manager. And I think it's all of them, honestly. And so it's going to keep scrolling through all of this. You can choose any one of these, which is really the great thing about the Node version manager. So it's going to go through all of those. We've already passed what I think it was version 10 something that we needed. Their latest supported version is 16, so if we just installed Node, this might not work. So what we need to do is we have, they show us instructions here. We can use the nvm install command. I'm just going to jump over to the development environment page, and I just want to copy, whoops, copy this version here. I'm going to just copy, and then here, I'm going to just do clear so that we're at the top of the screen again. And so we can run nvm for Node Version Manager, install, so that we install Node, and we're going to install version 10.15.3. And I'm going to hit enter. And as soon as it's done installing, you should have something that looks like this. And you want to make sure that your default is set to this 10.15.3. So we should be good there. Okay, for our next step, we see that we need to restart our computer, and maybe I'll just make that a little bit bigger in case, just so that people can see. I hope that's big enough. Maybe one more. Yeah, we'll just do that one more. Okay, restart your computer. We can do this from the command line. You can run sudo reboot now, and then just hit enter and put in your password, and that'll reboot for us. So in the video that I linked to at the very beginning, it talks a lot about sudo users and admin users and all that. We're using sudo here, which is, hey, run this. You're telling the system, hey, run this as a super user. So really what it means is super user do. And so whenever we run any commands that could have a negative effect on the system, usually you have to prepend that with sudo. But I go into greater detail on that in the video I linked to in the beginning, if you're curious or want more information. So I've rebooted. I'm going to log in again, put in my password. Okay, I get my desktop back. I'm going to open up Firefox again. Okay, and because I had not closed Firefox in the last one, it has remembered my windows that I had open, so that's cool. I'm just going to click not now here, not now here. So we get our instructions back. I'll open up another terminal window. Okay, so we are on step 4, or just did step 4. We restarted the computer. All right, so what we need to do now, from the command line, run npm install -g gulp. And I think that -g means install gulp globally. So we don't have to be in a special folder to do this. We can just run it here in our home folder because we've just opened the terminal, and the terminal will almost always bring us to our home folder. So we're going to run npm install -g for global gulp. So any user could run this, and from any user can run this gulp program. It doesn't matter that we've installed it globally. In any case, I'm going to hit enter, and that'll install gulp for us. Okay, so once your installation is complete, you should see something similar to this. You'll see a lot of warnings posted anytime, just about anytime I use npm. Um, it gives you lots of valuable information, but this is just one of those reasons why I struggle with JavaScript sometimes. Is npm, the node package manager, can be kind of scary. You keep getting warnings and deprecated software and all that. So it's nice to have, but in any case, it can be confusing and it can kind of look like some bad things happened. But that's not the case. I think it's really only the case if you see error. Um, in any case, moving forward, we have installed gulp. And now in a new command line window, navigate to the project-based directory. I'm not sure why we have to run a new command line window, but I'm going to just close this, open up a new terminal window, which is what they want. So really what they're telling us is we need to start a new bash session. So we need to navigate to the project base directory, and they're saying here to use the cd command. You'll notice that they have backwards slashes here. That's for Windows environments. We're working in Linux, so don't use backwards slash characters. What we want to do is, I'm in my home folder, so print working directory, you can see that I'm in the home folder. And if I do the ls command to list what's in that directory, we see this primo-explore directory here, and we want to change into that directory. We will do cd primo, and here we can do our little tab trick and complete all of that without having to type it all out. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to run the list command again. So ls, and you'll see that the files and directories are the exact same thing as what we have here. So we have add-ons and gulp and all that. So everything looks good there. And what did they want us to do? cd into the primo-explore-devenv. All right, so mine's called master, and I probably should have renamed that. I'm not going to worry about that now. But what we need to do is, it says from the command line, run the command npm install. And I guess probably what it does is looks at this gulp file and builds or sets up and builds everything for us. So if we do npm install and hit enter, you'll see that we're getting a bunch of warn errors again. Like I said, just about every time I run npm, I get warnings, deprecation warnings. So don't worry if you see that. It's normal. Okay, so after 30 seconds or so, you'll probably see a screen very similar to this. We have, you see that we have a bunch of vulnerabilities. 20 are listed as moderate, 31 is high, 7 is critical. I don't know. We could probably run that npm audit fix and see what happens. Let's go ahead and do that. npm audit fix. So it says it fixed 32 of the 58. I'm gonna call that good, because I do encounter these sorts of things all the time too. But the nice thing is, this is a virtual development environment, so if things go terribly wrong in this system, and those vulnerabilities, probably some of them you wouldn't even be able to exploit, because this is hidden by so many firewalls, behind our network firewall, behind my computer's firewall. But in any case, this is a good example of, if things go bad, it's not going to mess up your host computer, the one that you installed VirtualBox on. It's only going to hurt that virtual machine. So regardless of whether you ran that or not, you're good if I wouldn't worry about the vulnerabilities because this is a virtual machine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen, run the clear command. Whoops. And all right, where are we at? From the command line, run npm install. We've done that. So we're on step 8, the edit gulp configuration files proxy server setting. Okay, so we can do that. I'm just going to list the contents. I'm here in the root directory of the development environment. So I'm going to hit L or type ls and enter. And so from here, what we need to do is go into this gulp directory right here. We do that with cd change directory gulp. And then I'm just going to use the ls command to list the contents of that directory. You'll see that there is a config.js file. This is what they're talking about. This is what we need to go edit. And I do this with the Nano editor, and you're welcome to use Vim or anything you want, but Nano is relatively easy to use, and it comes pre-installed, so we don't have to worry about installing it. If you do get a error saying Nano command not found, you can just run sudo apt install nano. But to open this file with nano, just type in nano, N-A-N-O, and config, and I'm just going to hit my tab button there to complete it, and enter. And so once you're in the config.js file, using nano, you can, if you do Control W, that's going to allow us to search. And I'm just going to put in var, I'm not sure if it's case sensitive or not. And I guess I'm not going to bother to find out. So I'm just going to do search for var space proxy all caps. And sure enough, that brings me right down to where I would like to be here at this proxy server equals, which is what we're after right here. And they're telling us to make sure we use a real sandbox or production. And for SSL, we have to use port 443. So we have SSL. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is just go to, let's see, go to our website real quick, library.u.edu. And I want to search Primo. And what we want is all of this part of the URL here from the HTTPS to the .com. I'm going to copy that. And then we'll come on over here. And you have to use your arrow keys to navigate through here. And I'll just delete all of that. And paste the URL there. And so, you're going to want to go to your own instance of Primo. For other folks in the Alliance, it's going to be different. This is our Eastern Oregon University instance of it. And that's really all you have to do. Just copy and paste from the HTTPS up to the .com. Okay, so here we should be good. I'm just going to do Control X, at which point it's going to ask if I want to save it. I'm going to type Y for yes. It wants to make sure this is the file name we want to write to, so config.js, which is accurate. I'm just going to hit enter. I don't need to change it. And we should be good for that. Now, let's go back to our GitHub instructions. Okay, so we have added our proxy server here. Did I put in the, I don't think I put in the .43. I'm going to go back to nano config.js. Going to go back into this file. Var proxy. Yeah, I forgot the port number. So because we're using HTTPS, it's going to be 443. Okay, that's a very important part of it. So you want to make sure that you have the colon 443. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So I'm going to hit Control X again, Y again, Enter again. All right, now we should be good. So the next step here is to get our custom view package folder, and I'm going to show you how to go about doing that. I guess first what I'm going to do is I'm going to do CD in my terminal. I'm going to do ... and what that does is it brings us back from this gulp directory back to the primo-explore-devenv master directory. So you can see that's where we are again. And what we need to do is, I'm going to list the contents here. I think we need to go into Primo Explore, so that's CD Primo. I'm just going to hit Tab to complete it. I'm going to run my ls command to see what's in there. We want to go into Custom, so I'll do CD Custom, and then ls, and there's nothing there right now. So what we need to do now is grab our custom configuration files. And we do that, we're using Primo V. So it's a little bit different in the Primo back office, and I no longer have Primo back office, so I can't show people how to do that. But I can show you how to go about doing this in Primo V. So the very first thing I need to do is get my login link. Okay, so here at EOU, we have things configured so that we log in with SAML. But you want to just, however you go about logging into your system, that's how you want to go there. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now for me. Okay, so once you're in Primo, let's make this bigger. Oh wait, it's not. Yeah, I don't want Primo. Okay, once you're into Alma, you want to go to the Discovery button here, and then you want to go to Configure Views, and we only have one view here at Eastern Oregon, so we're lucky. But you want to make sure you are using the view that you want to edit, that you want to customize. So if you have more than one view, you may want to put each one into your environment. But here at EOU, we're only using the one currently. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the little ellipsis button here and click on Edit. And in our Manage Customization Package tab, we can download our package files, our custom package files. So I'm going to click on that. In here we have a couple of things that we can download. So the very first thing I'm going to do is the current view customization package. So this is going to be specifically for EOU, and when you click on it, it's going to be specific to your institution. So I'm going to click download. I'm just going to go ahead and save the file. I'm not worried about where it goes right now. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Now the other thing is the download central customization package. So this is the Orbis Cascade Alliance has a shared customization package that we all use, and we want to go ahead and download that too because we want that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click download. I'm going to save that. Okay, so at this point, if I look in my little downloads tab, I see that I have both files there. And so what we want to do, let's go ahead and minimize that a bit. And what I need to do is get those downloads into this current directory. Yeah, I think I'm going to open that a little. Into this current custom directory, and they're zip files, and they very likely kind of probably showed up in your downloads folder. So if I do CD, and that's just going to take me to my home folder, and then if I do ls, you'll see that there's a downloads folder. If I CD into downloads, whoops, downloads, and ls, you'll see that those zip files that I just downloaded are right there. But I want to move these elsewhere. So you can do that with the move command, and that is just mv space. And what I'm going to do is just type 0 and then tab, and that gives me alliance. First, I'm going to do our institutional package. So if I just type a capital E and tab, that's going to do everything for me. Now I want to move this to that custom folder, so it's this one right here. And actually what we can do is just copy all of this. Make sure you get that tilde, because the tilde says it's just kind of shorthand for the home directory. So you need to have that tilde in there. And we'll just paste that there. And then I'll go ahead and hit enter. And then if I do ls, you'll see that it was moved. So if you hit the up arrow at this point, you'll get the last command, which was ls. And then if you hit up arrow again, it's going to give you another, the command even before that. So the more you hit the up button, the more you kind of scroll back to the commands that you have run in your history. What I need to do, though, is change this to the network alliance. So I'm just going to type that capital N after the underscore and hit tab and then enter. And so that should have been put into that custom folder as well. So if I do ls, nothing's there. I'm going to clear this screen, and I'm going to cd or change directory, going into the home directory, ls, primo-explore-devenv environment is where we want to go. So cd primo and tab ls. We want to go into primo-explore, cd primo-explore and ls. We want to go into custom, cd custom. And you'll see that those zip files are here now. And I want to unzip both of those. And we already have zip installed, so we can just run unzip and then 0, 1, and I'm going to do tab and just a capital E and tab again. And I'm also going to unzip the other one, so I'm going to do 0, 1, tab, alliance, capital N for network, and tab. And we should be good. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, something went wrong with the network one. All right, let's see. I'm just going to run the list command and see what's there. Nothing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just do unzip 0, 1, and then I'm going to tab, capital E, tab, do that. Okay. That one looks good. Same deal with the central package. I'm going to do unzip 0, 1, tab, capital N, tab. Maybe if I take that space out there. All right, it looks like that worked. ls, la, what's going on here? ls, okay. All right, we should be good. I just want to quickly check. I'm going to cd into the EOU view, let's list what's in there. I'm going to go into the JavaScript directory, and I'm just making sure that everything's good here. I'm going to run the less command on the custom JS, and what this is going to do is show me the contents of that file. And it is indeed our custom JS file. So I'm just going to back out of there. Less is, so if I run the Q command, okay. All right, so we're good. I just want to go back here into the custom folder. Okay, so we know everything is as it should be there. Populate your custom view package folder in the custom package folder. That's what we did. For your custom view package folder were to be called. Okay. Okay. So when I downloaded my custom folders, these are the actual names of those views and so on. So you want to make sure that those views are exactly the same. And actually, you can test that. You'll see that I've got my customer code and view name there. Although I guess they have the dash. Well, in any case, you should be good. If you downloaded straight from Alma, you should be good. The name should be what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to go back to our instructions, and what we can do at this point is I'm going to open another window for my terminal. So I just right click on the little terminal icon there. And so from the command line, I can't remember if you have to do this from within the root of the development environment or not. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. ls to list what's there, because I always forget what the directory name is. That's why I'm always doing the list command. So what we want to do is change directories, primo, tab, enter. I think you have to run it in this directory. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of forget. But in any case, we want to run this command right here. So they're saying we want to run gulp space run, 2 dashes, and then the view code folder. Oh, so what we want to do here is, I guess in my case, it's going to be let's see, I think it's 0, 1, alliance, EOU, all caps, dash EOU. So that's the name of the folder that our customizations are in. So if we looked at where were we here? Yeah, so if we run the ls command in that custom directory, we want the name to be this. So really what you could do is just copy this and then go back to that other window, and what I would do is just run dash dash view and then paste that directory name there and then enter. And so at this point, theoretically, our development environment is up and running. And of course, we want to test that. So what we need to do is go to a browser, and they kind of tell you what you need to run in order to get there. So you can actually probably just copy all of that and then open up a browser window and paste the URL in there. And so now what we need to do is add a couple of things. So you need your institution code and your view code. And we can get both of those just looking at Primo. So if I go to Primo V, this is our instance of Primo V, you'll see that we have our institution code here. It's the 01 Alliance EOU, and then our view code here, which is EOU. And actually what you can do is just copy all of that from the 01 to the ampersand before the language. Let's see. I'm going to copy, put that into this tab here. Let's just close or delete that. Control V. Okay, fingers crossed. We'll hit enter. And there we have it. We should have you should have a working version of the development environment by going to that URL. So at this point, You should be good to go in and change your custom files. I guess we could quickly just look at where you go to do that. Um, I'm just going to clear things out here, and we're already in the home Primo Explorer custom directory. So you want to get here. Um, and if you're not there already, just you run your cd command until you get there. So you could just do, cd all of this. Just That's all you have to do. And paste it there. Oh, it looks like I must have copied things kind of weirdly. Oh, see, the problem was I didn't use the ampersand to show that it needed to be from my home folder. But in any case, you just want to keep running cd until you get to your custom thing here. So, if we did, I'm just going to do cd to get back to the home folder, and then it's just cd primo, and then you can do tab, and then you could start typing primo again in tab, and then custom. We'll hit enter, ls. I like to keep things clean, so actually what I'm going to do is remove those two zip files that you see there in red. You can do that with the command rm for remove and space, and then what I'm going to do is just put an asterisk, which is a wildcard in this case, and we're going to do a dot and zip. And what that's going to do is delete everything that has some characters before it and then says .zip, which is only these two right here. So we'll hit enter, ls, you'll see that they're gone. Now, when we want to make customizations to our own institution, we would do that here in the in your institution's custom folder. You can also play around with the custom package. You can go in and start playing around with that stuff too, and see how that all works. But what we want to do is just cd into 01 and then eou.ed or eou-eou, enter, and you'll see that we can do all of our customizations here. So if you want to do JavaScript customizations, you just go into cd into JS, and then you'll see that the custom JS file is there. Now, one of the cool things about having things set up in this way is you can use a text editor or an integrated development environment to play with your code. You don't have to come in here and mess with things. What you can do is use a text editor. I'm a pretty big fan of Atom, and it's an open source software, and I wonder, you might be able to do sudo apt install, and what this apt is, things work a little differently on Linux than they do in Windows or even Mac. What this does is there is a repository of software that lives out in the cloud, and I'm actually connected to one at Oregon State University at their open source lab, which is really cool. But what this does is the apt repository lives there on some Oregon State University servers, and this is going to that particular repository is set up in my system. So when I call the apt command, I'm going to grab software from that repository, and it's going to kind of help me install things rather than having to do them manually. So you'll notice, like in Windows, you get the installation wizard. This is kind of the installation wizard in a way. It just reaches out to the repository, brings back the software, and installs it on your system for you rather than having you download it and then having the installation wizard do it for you. So sudo apt install. I don't know if that'll work. Let's see. So no, that's not a part of the repository, but actually it is a relatively easy thing to install. I'm just gonna Atom IDE. I'm gonna do a search for Atom IDE. And actually, I guess what I'll do is install Linux. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on this installing Atom flight manual. All right, so what I want to do is actually add Atom to the repository, to my apt repository. And so they give us instructions on how to do that here. And it's really just a matter of copying and pasting all this stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, because it's important that you see that you can do this work in an IDE, and you can do it in what is it, S3, or there's that, and you could also do Visual Studio Code. I think is another one that you'd be able to install on Linux. But I'm just going to quickly show you how to do Atom. And the other ones are likely going to work in a very similar fashion. So really the first thing that they're telling us here is we need to add the Atom editor to the apt repository. And it's just a matter of copying this command right here, and it's using wget, and we know we already have that installed. So I'm going to paste that and hit enter. Key is deprecated. I don't think we need to worry about that. Okay. Okay, so now it looks like we need to copy some stuff to a particular file. I'm not going to go into detail on what all of this means, because I think it takes more than a beginner's level to understand exactly what's going on. But it's okay. Really what we're doing is we're just copying from one file to another. So we're copying something to this atom.list here. So I'm going to paste that. I'm going to hit enter. We should be good there. And now what we need to do is run the sudo apt-get update. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And this is going to update our apt repository to include Atom. Okay. And now we can install Atom using the apt-get command. You could also just do sudo apt install Atom. And actually, maybe that's what I'm going to do. Sudo apt install Atom. Hit enter. And then I'm going to do Y for yes. It's just asking if we want to install this. It's giving us information. Okay, so now Atom should be installed. Now we have to find it. Although I think you could probably just run Atom. Yeah, if you just type Atom into the console, it'll bring you there. I'm not 100% sure what this is for. I wonder if I can just cancel. I'm just going to do cancel. I don't think we have to worry about that. All right, so the normal way of doing it, or you could just come into this search bar here and then you type in Atom. Gets you a text editor. But this is just an example of how you would go about setting up an IDE, an interactive development environment. All right, I'm just going to put in a password here. So this was really meant more just to show you how to get a development environment onto your system. You can see that it's pretty easy to get there if we go to File. Let's see, we need File. Let's open. Well, actually, what you could do is add a project is probably the best deal or best way to go about this. So if you click on that, and then if you go to Home, so I'm in the Jeremiah Home folder right here. You'll see that there's the primo-explore-devenv master. And if you go in there, we have the primo-explore directory. And then what you can do, actually, if you want both of them, we'll just go back one to the custom folder. This is the one that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And so you'll see that I have the Alliance EOU folder there. And I can come here and open up my custom JS file, and I can start making my edits here. So that way you don't have to go through the command line to make your edits. You can use an actual developer environment, which is really handy. And maybe I can do some videos later on how to kind of set up some of the features in Atom. But in any case, this should get everyone started on using the Primo development environment in a Linux environment, using a virtual Linux machine. And like I said, one of the big advantages to this is you don't have to install software on your Windows or Mac machine, your kind of physical machine, that could cause problems. These virtual machines work great. So really, I can't stress enough, how well this has worked for me, and I really hope it works for others too. So I think that covers everything. At this point, you should be able to go in, and any edits that you make to your system here are going to show up. You can use your Atom IDE or text editor to make things a little easier when you're doing those edits. And of course, I'm happy to take questions or try to help folks out when as time allows, for me and my work schedule. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And hopefully I will see folks in the next video. Thanks for watching.